Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. I'm so excited to have you on this very special global leadership focused LinkedIn Live. I'm joined today by Ambassador Terry. Thank you very much for joining this LinkedIn Live.
I can't wait to have this discussion. You are just a force to be reckoned with out there in social media. And I totally love the fact that you even got people walking around the office. Totally love the fact uh, that you chose me to have this discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. There is so much goodness, there's so much knowledge, and that's our goal. Well, today we'll chat about the global leadership, and we'll talk about different challenges that as a leader or as a team member or as a peer you can experience when you work in a global environment or it's a global virtual environment. Our goal of this session is to share some stories, inspire you, and give you some actionable tips for becoming a better global leader in this ever changing world. So, before we start, Ambassador Terry, any advice to our listeners? Any thoughts before we start the session?
Always have an open mind. Life is a journey, not a guided tour. And, as things seem to happen to you, they're teaching you something. So you get to learn from every experience, whether it's considered a bad experience or a good experience. There's something to be learned and become present with, no matter what it is, because something that went wrong for you a few years ago might help you to help someone else in a similar situation and help them through it. So just have an open mind and enjoy what this world has to offer. It's a little crazy here and there in the world, but it's always been crazy here and there in the world. So there's something to be said about that. Gina?
That's true. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, be open. We're going to share some tools in this webinar as well. And couple of housekeeping items. Um, Use chat window to ask any questions, put any comments in, let us know where you're calling from. We always like where people are watching us from. So use that chat window to for your questions or comments. Once in a while, you will see me looking at my phone, and it's not that I'm not paying attention. Sometimes those comments don't appear, so I go and I check on LinkedIn if there are any comments. Sometimes technology is not perfect, so we need a human to add a human touch. So let's begin. I'm going to start with a story. The year was maybe 2002 or 2003, almost 21 years ago. I started my first corporate job here in America. I moved from Russia to Canada in 95, then I moved here, um, and I started working. And my boss used to tell me, Eugenia, you never get to the point, especially when you want to confront me on something. Why is that? And I didn't know why is that, but I took that feedback and I started working on it. I understood that he was looking for more direct feedback, and that's what I gave him. In 2008, I was so 6 years later, I was reading a book, Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. And in that book, he was sharing stories about airline pilots from Japan and Argentina that were crashing their planes because they were not trusting themselves, but they were trusting airline traffic controllers, towers, and sometimes those airline traffic controllers were giving the wrong information, but they were trusting them, and that caused plane crashes. He mentioned a very interesting framework that I'm going to share in a minute called Hofstede Insights. That framework was made in 19 on the research made in 1960s and 1970s, and it was published by Hofstede in 1980. He and his research talks about different cultural value dimensions and how different people from different countries view those cultural dimensions. So in 2020, in 2001, it was updated because it started with 3. And then in 2023, the scores were updated as well on a much larger scale, covering additional 56 countries. So that tool helped me. So I'm going to start sharing. Ambassador Terry, do you use that tool?
No, I don't. It's an interesting concept, though.
Okay, so then I'm going to ask you the question once I share the tool. What do you think is missing from, and maybe could be added to all those dimensions?
Okay.
So we're looking at country comparison tool by Hofstede, and their multiple dimensions, power distance. This is what I was experiencing because in Russia, and I'll share Russian and American, how we people that born in Eastern Europe and Americans see bosses. In Russia, we couldn't say no to the boss. Power distance is very high. Individualism, motivation towards achievement and success. This is your strategic mindset, long-term orientation, and indulgence. So let's look at 2 countries. And I'm going to use myself as a guinea pig here. And I'm going to input Russia, because this is where I'm from. And I'm going to put United States. And we're going to run it. And as you can see, so Russia is orange and America is blue. Power distance, 93. So me providing negative feedback to my boss was really scary. So I had to unlearn a lot of different things. Uncertainty avoidance, strategic mindset. That's why I've been very successful in my roles, because I plan years ahead. So I was very beneficial to my American colleagues. Long-term orientation, again, it's a little bit higher for me. And indulgence, I can say that in corporate culture, we use that. So, Ambassador Terry, what do you think that the framework could benefit from, we could add into this framework? What do you think is missing?
Well, I think the culture of Russia and the United States with regards to entrepreneurism, which is indulgence. Okay, it's that stepping out. It's let's go for it and see what happens type of attitude is a big deal in the Western culture, as opposed to Russia and the former Soviet bloc countries, because everything was controlled there. And so people were far less likely to make any movements there. And individuality, for a lot of my friends and colleagues in the Eastern Bloc, possibly you included, individuality doesn't exist in under communism. So that culture of everybody is in this together is fun for festivals, but the day-to-day life, it's not so good. You know, there's serious lack of trust day to day. and those types of things. And you can speak to that far better than I can. Um, but it's, this many years after the breakup of the then Soviet Union, um, it's still true there. It's a hard habit to break, and there's a lot of talk about. I don't have firsthand knowledge of this, but there's a lot of talk about that old regime type of mentality is expanding within the confines of Russia, and that's causing a lot of complicity around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me ask you a question. When a foreign born professional like me moves to a Western country, America, or an Indian born professional or Israeli born professional, what do they need to do? What would be their first step, especially if they are a leader, if they have a team of people that is not of their culture?
I have a mentee in Southwest Asia right now that has made that move to the United States. And I was mentoring him prior to the move. And first thing I told him to do is look into local universities and community colleges and those kinds of things. Who's teaching or giving courses or seminars or whatever on Western culture for people who are moving into the area? Because he moved into an area where he's from India, and there's a large Indian culture there, which is fine for the Indian culture. But how are these people learning how to be in mainstream America? And that's a challenge. They learn English, but it's limited because it's a second and sometimes third language. Um, there's languages in India alone. So somebody who can speak Hindi and English and maybe another dialect, they're very intelligent people, but they're just learning. So we as Westerners get to step back and take an extra breath and pay attention to the fact that this person is learning how to be here and how to survive initially, and then from that, how to thrive. And so I highly encourage people who come to the States is to immersive, get into immersive culture. When I was living in Puerto Rico, two languages, Spanish and English, true enough, but English isn't that prevalent in a lot of parts there. So an immersion into the Spanish where I made myself learn the language every day, every way. I learned it quickly, and I understood it from a different perspective than I could learn it in a formal education environment. And so for people coming to the Western world, I highly recommend that they get a job or step out of their immediate community where it's comfortable and immerse yourself. I have found through my experience, I'm sure you have too, Eugenia, the really successful ones did that. They just stepped out there and went for it. And they had the kind of the mindset that, well, I can always go back to my culture. So I'm willing to step up. I came all the way to America. I'm going to do something. I'm going to be somebody. I'm going to make money and be a success and bring my family here so we have our children and our grandchildren can have a better education, a better way of life. And those are the main things that people, they want to be loved and they want to love. And once they get that inside their culture of their workplace and those kinds of things, they're being treated as one of the people, one of the team, one of the family. whatever they want to call it there, it becomes powerful for both the company and the individual because they're starting to fit in to a place that's brand new.
Some great points. So, and that's why I'm taking really good notes for people from a different culture like me. Um, your advice is to be open. Go out there, learn, feel, talk, find a good mentor that can help you out. Don't afraid to make mistakes. You're learning. Be patient, be empathetic, be open with yourself. And the other one is get out of comfort zone.
Yes.
For leaders that work with international teams, what I'm hearing from you is learn about your people's culture. Learn what triggers them, what ticks them, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. Appreciate that culture. We just had Ramadan. So a person that used to work for me at my previous company um, celebrated Ramadan, and I knew that during Ramadan, it was very hard for that person to do any calls during the prayers. So, me as a supportive leader, it was my responsibility to ensure that he can embrace his culture. So, learning about, traditions and making sure that people feel that they belong, no matter where they're from, no matter what religion or culture, they belong and they appreciate it. That's what I heard from you when you were talking about Puerto Rico. And it's
Yes.
again, be open and open, learn, embrace, and collaborate and support your team if they have different cultures.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. The more a person feels respected and appreciated, the more loyal they're going to be, the more present they're going to be at work. They can't wait to get to work because the environment is so nice to be in, you know. And likewise, you have join your company, and as a boss, maybe one of the lunch meetings ought to be in a restaurant of their culture, so you learn a little bit about them and their traditions, because you never know when the company's going to send you to that country to do some liaison work for a future expansion or anything like that. And you'll have some sort of experience about how the culture works because you took the time to learn something new, you know. Um, the time I spent in Puerto Rico was invaluable for the other Spanish speaking countries that I've been to. Absolutely invaluable, and so I highly encourage that. Likewise for those of you who are coming to the States, get out there and have some hot dogs and stuff. Learn what America is, and learn it in such a way that you use your five senses, because sensual memory brings back good times from your own past, as well as it helps you connect to the language much quicker. Okay, nothing better than watching American cartoons to learn English, because that is basic English down there. Okay, and I have come to really love a lot of different foods from a lot of different places in the world, because I took the time to find a restaurant in Barcelona, Spain, that didn't have any Americans, didn't have any Europeans. There wasn't anybody but locals. That's a place I want to go eat because the food will be excellent. And it is all the time, right? And when you get in there And at first they say, okay, Westerner, we'll just kind of watch the person. And you try to speak their language and you're friendly and you're open. All of a sudden, everybody in the restaurant speaks English, right? And they're talking to you. Where are you from? Are you here on business? Blah, 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 blah. You know, this gentleman that just walked in, this Westerner, is okay. So we'll talk to him. We might even make him a friend. Okay. That's powerful for you because you never know when you're going to use it for yourself or just as important to help someone else. Eugenia?
It's beautifully, beautifully said. And the reason I smile every time you say Puerto Rico, because my husband is Puerto Rican. So what you're describing, it's like it's his homeland. We went there for our honeymoon. It's beautiful.
Ah,
Yeah, so it's lovely. Love Puerto Rico.
my daughter is Borinquen, okay?
Oh,
Born on the island. Big
okay.
deal among Puerto Rican people in Puerto Rican culture rather. So
Yeah,
tell your husband your guest today not only spent time and loved it Puerto Rico, had a daughter there who's Boricua, female.
that's love it, love it, love it. And so, just to summarize, um, use five senses when you're a global leader. Use five senses to connect with your team members from different cultures. I love that idea about taking them out for lunch to their local place. Love it. That's a tip that I'm going to implement. And just connect with them on different level, because when you see your team as humans, they feel connected as well, so they can deliver better results. The next question I'm going to ask you, Ambassador Terry, is what was that pivotal moment in your career? I described mine with my former boss. Um, so, that pivotal moment where navigating cultural nuances significantly impacted your leadership approach. And what lesson did you learn, and what lesson takeaway can you give to our audience?
Pivotal point. Again, I learned so much in Puerto Rico. And not only from Puerto Ricans, but other islanders from the Caribbean who were living there. It was delightful. I was a fortunate young man in that there was no prejudice in my house. A person you otherwise, and it didn't matter what religion or color of their skin or country they're from. It didn't matter. If you were a good person, then you were welcome in the house. If you were not, you were not. It's just that simple. And so taking that mindset out into the world for myself was very powerful for me. And it made it very easy for me to make new friends all over the world. With the onset of COVID, I've made 44,000 of them in the last 4 years because I just reach out to people with a message. I teach about messaging, and it was brought to me early on by a colleague of mine. We were both at the C level of an international corporation, and he says, just speak a message. Just throw it out there. Somebody's going to hear it who's supposed to hear it. And those who are not supposed to hear it won't hear it or understand it. And that's okay too. Just do it. I took that from many long years ago. I like to say late last century. I love doing that. I'm old enough to say those things. And I brought them to today. And I teach that on my presentations from the stage. I speak internationally. And all of my mentees go through the process of messaging. And what that is, ladies and gentlemen, is when a person walks up to you or you're in a conversation and somebody says, Ambassador Terry, so what is it that you do? you immediately bring up the face of the ideal client that you want to serve and be of service to in your mind. And you tell that client why you would like to work with them. That message will then go to the person you're talking to, but more importantly, somebody they know who's looking for me. Okay. The message isn't necessarily who you're speaking to, ladies and gentlemen. It's as important of who they know. There's three categories of getting a new customer. I'll do it very quickly. One-to-one. Eugenia and I talking to each other, one-to-one. Okay, like each other, we're going to do business or we're not. Now, just as important is somebody who works for Eugenia that I talk to, that will go to Eugenia and say, I found your guy. I found the person you need to talk to. Powerful referral, okay, because they know, like, and trust with that person. And just as important, number three, is who do they spend entertainment time with? Who's the person in their golfing foursome that says, Eugenia, you need to talk to this guy, Ambassador Terry, and stop your complaining. He's going to help you fix this. What do? You reach out to him. My best buddy in golf, a friend, Juanita Smith, said, we've got to talk. I don't know that much about you, but I know we have to talk. I just had a conversation like that yesterday. One of my very close colleagues in Hong Kong was talking to someone about doing an international leadership live like we're doing right now, and name dropped me, and he said, you should speak to her. And she immediately after that call reached out, connected to me on LinkedIn, and said that this person said for me to talk to you right away. When can we talk? That's as powerful as it gets. Three categories: one-to-one, somebody who knows who you're talking to, and number three, who you trust and spend time with. Those are powerful ways of doing it.
That sounds really, really good. And I'm taking notes because what you've described is mindset of inclusivity, that everyone is welcome. And when people are included, they feel that they belong. Mindset of impact. So make an impact on your team so they can go and become ambassadors, not ambassadors like you, ambassador, but ambassadors of global leadership mindset.
Yeah.
And the last one, as a global leader, it's abundance mindset. It's when you network, you want to provide service to your contacts, to your customers, and to your team as well. If you know that recommending someone can help them, you do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We all, this is a ball, one marketer talking time. But, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of times when you're asked to do something, it's like, okay, what is this going to cost me? Try thinking of it a different way. What am I going to get for my time, energy, and resources? Resources doesn't necessarily mean money. Resources can be bringing in your best friends to help along with this project or whatever it is. That mind shift takes you from a negative, it's going to be a loser mindset to, hey, there's possibilities here. Okay. What is this decision going to be for me in time, energy, and resources? Okay. Because your time is just as valuable as your wallet. Okay. Two marketers here talking, very, very valuable. And your energy. How much energy are you going to put into this decision? And what's it going to give you back in rewards and good feelings and those kinds of things, as opposed to, okay, what's it going to cost me? What's the real deal here? Right? That's probably not the right decision or the right conversation to have at that moment. But if you say, okay, so tell me about what you're asking me to do so I can figure out in time, energy, and resources what would be the best for me and the best for both of us. I might know somebody who's better at what you were asking me to do than I am. Okay. So now you've opened the door of opportunity for the person who's trying to recruit you. They may, in fact, would like to have you, but by the time the conversation's over with, they're loving who you're thinking about referring them to because it's even better fit. Okay, so that's my take on it. One marketer to another.
Love it, love it, love it. So you were talking about the positive energy. You were talking about abundance, inclusivity mindset. So my next question is, let's chat about the key principles of mindset shift. So if a global leader doesn't have that mindset of abundance or inclusivity or mindset of impact, and they're working with global teams, what would be the key 3 to 5 principles that you could recommend if they, of course, open to change?
We're social animals. We live better in groups than we do alone. People who are hermits in the woods don't live as long as other people because they're not getting that connection with other human beings. Connect to other people. If you're a new leader in an industry, find other leaders in that industry that you can socialize with. You're not there to steal their ideas or their customers or anything like that. You're there to have camaraderie, people who think like you think. Eugenia and I have connected immediately because we think the same way. That doesn't mean we're going to take either of both of our companies and merge them or anything like that. It's a resource for getting that back what you're giving. That takes a lot of time, energy, and resources to be a leader in today's world. And there's got to be some place where you can pump that back up, bring some more back in. And a social environment is certainly one of them. Another one that comes to mind immediately is you're now a boss. You may be a new one. You're now a boss. What associations are there out there that you can join and get feedback for what you're doing? I know I'm a Vistage executive, and Vistage is a great place to plug, but it is okay. And when you get, if you're a welder, it's about take over the welding project. You're the boss now. You're not the welder anymore, but you got the knowledge. Okay. What are other welders in your area who are now leaders? How did they learn? What are they doing about leadership and keeping their crews motivated and things like that? That's good networking, buzzword there, networking. And I think just as important as anything I've said in this live so far, get some time for yourself and regenerate who you are. Ambassador Terry needs Ambassador Terry times, because if you're not good in here, you cannot be good out there. Okay? Because you cannot give what you do not have. All right? Ask anybody that's been married multiple times. They don't love themselves. They can't give love, so they can't keep love. And people who have issues with themselves can't keep a job for very long. Now we call that multi-potentialite. Back in the 1990s, when I retired from the Navy, that was somebody who was a loser. Don't hire them. Now you want them because of the breadth of experience that they have. But that breadth of experience that they have was gotten by something that's not going to go away until they fix that. So seek out counseling, whether that be religious counseling connection or community people that you can talk to. You're a leader, if maybe you're a new entrepreneur. In America, there's a thing called SCORE, and that's the senior core of retired executives, brainiacs, very smart people. Okay. They've walked the walk, done the talk, and now they're retired and helping others. That's a great resource. So get time for yourself is just as important as anything else. And this is no longer um, the culture in America or in the world today where you keep your job because you have to. Okay. If your job's killing you, then find a new job. That doesn't mean quit, walk out the door, and hope you find another job. Just start looking. Start with your networking people. I'm not real happy at XYZ. Do you know anybody that could benefit from being with me? What's even more powerful is volunteer where there's other people in your industry working side by side, serving food at a food bank or whatever. Great contacts that can say, hey, Ambassador Terry, I don't know if you're happy over at XYZ, but my best buddy I play golf with every Saturday is looking for somebody like you. You open to having a conversation, boom, you got a door open with a valid referral. All right. So those are the biggies that I would say.
And they are great biggies. So learn from your industry peers, like-minded individuals, to become a better leader in your industry, because you're moving away from being a marketer or welder to being a leader of other marketers or leader of other welders. Number two, expand your network, because there might be some other ideas. Join executive networks so you can learn other executive leadership tips from global leaders. And the third one, and I love that, because as leaders, we always give, 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 give until we have nothing to give and we burn out and we leave companies. Take care of yourself, put your own oxygen mask first, especially when you're a global leader and you have to work all kinds of hours because you're managing a global team in India and in Japan and Asia and in Latin America. So, and be open and frank about why you're doing it. So it will give your team permission to learn about themselves and also not to burn out. Great, great tips. Three great tips and some suggestions for associations. Thank you, Ambassador Terry. As we're wrapping up, what would be just one takeaway that you want the listeners to walk away, or viewers to walk away from? Because this will be available as a recording on LinkedIn. This will go on YouTube, and people will be listening to learn how they can become better global leaders, how they can manage global teams, how they can be part of a global team. Um, so, what would be one takeaway? You're welcome. Bentley saying thank you for the session. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So, Ambassador Terry, what would be your one takeaway?
Be a mentor to someone else. Give what you have freely. When I was a very young Navy man at my second duty station, the senior there, who has nothing to do with me whatsoever, called me aside one day and he said, let's have lunch. What are you doing today? Nothing. Okay, let's go to lunch. And while he was there, he says, listen, Terry, I see something in you that I don't think you see in yourself. You have greatness in you. You have what most people don't understand. You just do. You don't even consciously aware of how talented you are with people. Okay. You can't teach that. It's just there. And it's in everybody. He's is it's in everybody because we're all born with love in our hearts. We learn the bitterness of life through decisions as we grow. But he said, I want to mentor you. I want to make sure you move on in life, whether you stay in the Navy, I think you will, or not. But I want to mentor you. Are you open to that? I go, oh, God, yes, I'd love it. And so for roughly 3 years, he showed me the ropes, as we say in America a lot, and made sure I was in certain locations during events and those kinds of things to utilize that skill that he saw in me that I still wasn't fully aware of until I became a leader. And it was my turn to watch other people. And sure enough, somebody that worked for me was special. So I took him off the side and I said, look, somebody saw something in me that I didn't see. And now I see that in you. And if you're open to it, I want to mentor you. I want to be a person that you can talk to all the time in full confidence, that it's confidential. And I want to just help you along because I think you're really somebody's going to go somewhere in life. And he has. Oh my God, has he? He is CEO of an international corporation right now. We touch base every so often, but he's mentored a lot of people along the way. Pass it on. You have amazing experiences in life that you can give freely to somebody. And guess what happens, ladies and gentlemen? You start loving you, okay? Because you're doing good things. You start loving your family different. You start treating your people different. You'd be surprised how powerful it is to help somebody along.
So beautiful to make this world a better place. As a leader, give,
Mhm.
multiply your talents, because those people, and I bet the CEO, he's multiplying as well because he saw the benefits of mentoring.
Mhm.
On that note, please follow Ambassador Thierry on LinkedIn. If you want to collaborate with Ambassador Thierry on me on any future leadership sessions, LinkedIn Lives, videos, or anything else, DM me or him. And let's all go out there as global leaders and make this world a better place. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.